Gamesense is an essential part of being a great CSGO player, so we compiled the 10 best ways to step up your Gamesense ability. My name is Braden, and welcome to Valve Guides. We did a video back in 2018 on improving your Gamesense. However, when we took a community poll, y'all overwhelmingly requested another Gamesense video. So in this video, we're going to dive deeper into the depths of how to improve your Gamesense and take it even further. Gamesense is more important than any other skill you can develop in CSGO, even aim. You will even see pros with amazing aim that can't seem to make it to the next level. What would take them to the next level is Gamesense. So we're going to make sure that your core Gamesense skills can get nailed down now, so that hopefully you can take yourself to the next level. Let's get into it. Understanding what Gamesense is.
That's so bold for Glaive to plant there. Naf could have peeked off catwalk and stopped it. They had the information, I think. Magisk might have heard a footstep, but here he goes. Gonna try and pull off a miracle, but these angles are just so far away and he's got nothing to use, and you might as well just stick it, I guess. And actually, oh my god, he might just do it. A mistake from Astralis. Gives Liquid their knife. Oh, and a miraculous headshot to follow. It was his only option.
Many people talk about Gamesense as if it's a magical thing that you either have or don't have. In reality, all Gamesense is an educated guess using the process of elimination to figure out what you should probably do next. Knowing that the most important key to obtaining great Gamesense is to use all information given to you for your own advantage. Every piece of information you have on screen and in your ears is useful in a situation and can be used to your advantage. I know what you're thinking. We know this already. Why is he taking this long to explain this? But how many people actively take this into consideration while in game? Here's a clip of high-level players and analysts breaking down some plays. I want you to listen to their thought process.
I feel like we should have known he was there because he dropped the smoke and disappeared so quick.
But I thought he fell all the way inside.
Me too. Imagine the pressure for them now. So it was pretty crazy that they brought it back again.
As soon as that they were fighting ladder, Neptune was getting a kill and then he died. So I knew that if there's 4 enemies left, there's at least one more above ladder. Chances of someone being in brown holes at this point is pretty low. So I'm going to push into this position aggressive, and if they do come back inner, I've got a really good hold. So I'm able to keep a lot of my teammates outside off of the back of that.
You know, as an opper on T side, I see that, I identify that this is the first time that they molly down mid. They're gonna probably make a play off of it, that's what I'm thinking, or they're pushing down mid. So I'm relaying that information to my team so they know. So the alt guys that are coming up, they won't be surprised by this guy. They can either flash him off or, you know, give him a little jiggle to see if he shoots.
Chances are, if you're having trouble developing Gamesense, it's because you're not necessarily thinking like this while in the moment. Being cognizant of what is happening and being able to transform that information into quick and effective decision making in real time is what separates pro players from top tier pro players. What seems like magic to us is actually just a well thought out plan that was executed in seconds. Developing reactive game knowledge. A big part of being able to think through the game at such a high level is to have a firm understanding of adaptive map knowledge. A lot of people, including us, say to understand the map, learn the callouts all the time, which, while that is of course a part of it, otherwise we wouldn't have said it, it's a very base level piece of advice. You can't do too much with that other than tell someone where you died. The real reason you want to know the map is to be able to take the information from callouts and develop a strategy from it. A big part of Gamesense in CSGO is to take information you get from deaths, either on your team or the enemy team, then position yourself to have the best advantage in that situation. A good example of this concept is a video from FaZe Nico on the channel Predator Training Room, where he is breaking down how he handled a 1v4 situation versus SK on Mirage.
At this point, my teammates is dying from the guy from short. So now I knew already that one guy is CT, one guy is outside jungle, one guy is short, and I didn't know about the fourth guy, obviously.
Instead of panicking when his team was dying and roaming around without purpose with the bomb, Nico uses his teammates' deaths as markers to know where his enemies were and are located. Then using those locations, he positioned himself where he could get a 1v1 engagement to give himself the best chances of winning each firefight.
So now I have spotted this guy as well. I have baited his shot. And now at this point I knew that there was one guy in jungle and one guy was at the bomb who was trying to defuse. I basically shot once at the guy there in firebox, and then I got a free frag on him. I was just trying to get basically one-on-one duel so I don't have to play it 1-on-2.
The reason he was able to know where to position himself is most likely through thousands of hours of practice in both matchmaking and esports environments, which of course is an effective way to learn if you have the time. But not everybody has that time. Maybe you can spend significantly less time than Nico and still develop the same skill set. Oftentimes Sometimes you hear tip guys like us talk about watching your VODs, which is effective for cleaning up bad habits, but when it comes to Gamesense, it's actually better to focus more on high-level analysis and pro breakdowns, and then slowly applying that to your game. Pinpoint where you struggle at decision-making on a map, then go watch guys like these on those specific maps to figure out exactly how you should plan and match. From there, now that you know how a situation is supposed to be played, all you have to worry about is putting in the time and learning how to properly execute, as well as the slight variations that happen from game to game and round to round. We know it sounds tedious, but spending 30 minutes and learning how to do something right the first time is way better than spending hundreds and hundreds of hours and probably never learning how to do something properly. In general, you should never feel like you don't know what to do once you join a match. Using callouts for information.
He's behind him. He's behind him. He's above him. He's not on Discord though. He's behind you!
In the house.
We get it. Sometimes it's hard to get solid teammate communication, and for a lot of you, you don't even get matched up with teammates that speak the same language. But if the situation allows, good vocal communication is one of the most effective ways to increase your real-time game sense. Think about it. If you have 5 people, all with a decent game sense, communicating with each other properly, that's 5 different people in 5 different places all taking in information and able to relay it. That's really helpful. Information like how much your teammates damaged an enemy, what direction they're headed, if he used a nade, whether that nade was a flash or a smoke. All of these things can help you decide where to position yourself or how and when to rotate. This information is vital if you're thinking how we advised before. It gives you a mental image of the map and what to expect. This is a primary reason why pros know exactly what they're doing at all times and know how to approach certain areas of the map. It's hard to have good communication if you're not 5Qing, so lead by example if you're not 5Qing. If you die, say the exact information you would want to hear from a dead teammate if you were alive. Be supportive of good plays and don't rage at the ones that might be harder to watch while spectating. Focus strictly on communication and conveying good information, and after a couple rounds, they should get with the program. And if not, oh well, you can't control every situation. Understanding your role within the team and adapting when that doesn't mold to your vision. We talked about this in the previous Gamesense video, but understanding your role within the team, even with randoms, is vital. Everyone leans towards a specific playstyle, and if you take the time to find your niche, you can use other pro players as inspiration to get better at what you do. Figure out the strengths of your game and learn how pros with a similar playstyle handle situations and create a mentality that fits with that. If you play aggressively, learn how guys like Simple approach a situation, or if you're a bit more of a supportive type of player, watch guys like MBK or Body. There is hardly one best way to play CSGO, there are several optimal ways. As you watch other people who think and play like you will probably find your own style of game sense and how to approach situations. Then you can use pro players as inspiration, but not necessarily copying them down to a T. When we talked about this last time, a common complaint was that you may play solo, and other people take the role and position that you prefer to play. However, CSGO is a lot more fluid when it comes to that. Even on the big stage, a lot of players have to get out of their comfort zone and go into positions they're not comfortable in. The key is to control what you can control and take those small amounts of matches where you don't get to play how you want as a learning experience. At this point in the game, while winning should be big for you, make sure that the forefront of your mental process is always to get better so that when it does count, you have put the time and effort in. Playing off of sound. One overlooked part of CSGO in general is how relevant sound is to your game sense. Oftentimes, players use sound on a base level, only using it to hear if somebody is coming towards them or the enemy is using a specific weapon. You can actually use sound more to your advantage than most people do. From our research, most pros make a lot of big game sense decisions based off of sounds alone. Things like enemy reload sounds, what weapons your enemies have, how many people are coming towards you, if an op is in the round, and so much more. It's incredibly useful in clutch situations where you're the only surviving team member, because every sound that you hear that isn't your own sound is important and came from the enemies. But remember, sound works both ways too, so that should inform how you navigate and operate around the map. More people fail to take advantage of sound-oriented game sense than some of you are thinking, and instead of standing idle, waiting for action to come to you, you sound to your advantage and become proactive, set up for the enemy. So if you're stuck, you can create a plan based off of sounds alone, and give you more direction on how to prepare for a situation. Think like the enemy. You've probably heard that line as a cliche in movies and other crap before, but it works, so rethink it. Whenever you are stuck and don't know what to do next, take a second to think about what your enemy's current objective is and plan around that. Even if you don't know the specifics yet, you know for a fact that the terrorists are going to want to plant the bomb and the CTs are going to want to defuse or even stop you from planting in the first place. Those are the core goals to accomplish before the round ends. As you progress, you will understand the game more and understand how to spot rotations, but for now, just focus on the primary objective of the enemy, as well as what information they may or may not know, and be careful not to fall for the dreaded fakes and keep alert to spot that. Speaking of fake outs, as you progress the ranking system, a big strategy you will see a lot from the T side is fake bomb plants. The goal of a fake is to sacrifice one, maybe two players, and use a couple smokes and flashes to create the illusion of a push onto a bomb site, which they're not actually going to push into. These are deadly if you fall for it, but if you use your game sense to read the play, you can flip the odds on your enemy. Identifying and reading fakes is easier than some people think. If there are smokes landing on the bomb site and nobody from the T's are pushing out, it's a confirmed fake. If there are T's pushing out with smokes and or flashes, you should watch the radar, because on the radar you can easily identify if an enemy is carrying the bomb. If the T's pushing you are on the bomb site and not carrying the bomb, the CTs on the other site really don't have to rotate, because they know the player with the bomb is probably coming to them. Of course, as you rank up, things are going to get a lot more complex, but be more cognizant of any given strategy. And as you practice this, it'll be easier and easier to read plays. Understanding aggressive CT pushes and how to counter them. Oftentimes, you will see a lot of aggressive pushes on certain bomb sites from CTs trying to gain control as quickly as possible. A lot of new players get flustered and fall to this tactic, but if you're prepared for it, you should be able to counter them for the most part. The most aggressive pushes from CT side start with a well-placed smoke. So naturally, the best way to counter these are to be positioned properly, keeping common smokes in mind. Then make sure you're patient. Most pushes from CTs are impatient at mid to lower ranks, sometimes high ranks too. Hold positions that force the CTs to have to check a lot of angles. The key is to be proactive with the setup and react properly when the CTs do end up pushing. Pre-aiming and pre-firing. Lots of people overcomplicate pre-aiming and firing. Essentially, all you want to do is keep your crosshair where the enemy's head would probably be and check common spots. Then you can add hearing into the mix to eliminate or confirm enemy positions. Hearing can be very helpful in knowing where an enemy may or may not be. Then pre-fire that spot. Turn the corner and shoot the position before you even know for sure whether or not an enemy is there. But be sure only to do this when you are confident that someone is probably there and you know the angles of that position, because screwing this up can broadcast your position to the enemy team and completely ruin whatever you were trying to do. So use discretion. Make sure that this is within your game plan to be able to accomplish, and if you're wrong, it doesn't make your entire play fall apart. You're going to have to make mistakes in order to learn when and when not to pre-fire, but this is part of the process. If you want to learn from the best, I would watch a lot of Cold Zero breakdowns. He's especially good at pre-aiming, and there's definitely more to all of this that we could probably do an entire video and a half on. So for now, just focus on simple pre-aiming and pre-firing. Identifying an opper. Ops are game changers. A big part of taking your game sense to the next level is understanding where the op is positioned on the enemy team. The op can easily pick apart your team, so it's paramount to understand where the opper could be and communicate that with your team. One major way to tell if the enemy team purchased an op can be found in inconsistencies at the start of a round. For instance, on cash, oftentimes the enemy will smoke mid a lot, except for when they have an op, as they want to try to pick you off as they come through. To identify oppers, you can always throw a flash in the direction you think the opper might be positioned and listen for a shot after the flashbang. Keep in mind that an opper can also just fall back and hold their fire to let you run up into their crosshair, so map awareness and knowledge that we previously spoke about will aid you immensely. Always play like there is an op on the map if you're at all unsure whether or not there is one. Don't run around like an idiot, and watch out for choke points. Things like smokes and flashes are really important when evading evading and taking out oppers, and remember to take these tips into consideration as an opper to help prevent somebody from taking advantage of you with the same tips. Taking advantages into account. A lot of newer players fail to take advantage of the economy when they're up and end up playing the opposite of how they should when they're down. We're going to be making an in-depth economy video soon, but in summary, if you track the money that the enemy team has, you can take advantage of knowing exactly what equipment the enemy team is carrying. Then you know when you have a weapon advantage over them, and that's very useful. So let's say you are on the T side and have won the first round. In the second round, you're fighting against the CTs and they have scouts and 5.7s, which means the CT side force-spent all of their money. If you win this round, the CTs are completely broke and have to eco. And not only that, they have to eco twice probably. Now they roughly have about $4,300, and if you know this, you know that they can't afford an op, which is game-changing information to know. From that, you should change your playstyle to play like you have the advantage. Use having an op on your team when the enemy doesn't have one to the best of your abilities and putting your opper in a slightly more aggressive position. Your goal should be to crush the enemy team's economy by making them buy more when they are low and making it where they can't recover, crushing them every single round. Just be aware of bonuses that can be given to the enemy team when they come back after losing a couple rounds, or when they get more money for killing you with certain eco weapons like shotguns and knives. If you're on the opposite side of this situation and you're doing an eco round, you should be playing not only to win the round, but to do as much economic damage as possible to the enemy team, stealing their good weapons and saving as much money as you can as an entire team. Make sure to utilize the tab menu to figure out how many enemies died in each round, especially in ecos. Use probability to your advantage. Something that I see a lot of pros do, especially ones that carry their team, is use the enemy team's educated guesses to their advantage. Pushing through and sitting in front of smokes, standing in weird, seemingly open positions, and taking unusual routes are all things that players like Simple and Device do a lot. Of course, don't do these things every round, but if you're aware of what's going on and notice certain patterns that the enemy team repeats, sometimes it's good to just throw off their routine by throwing a wrench in it. Keep things within your skill level, of course, but don't be afraid to do something crazy every now and then. This is actually super effective against higher level players, and it will often tilt them if you're lower ranked than them and successfully pull off something that they just weren't expecting from you. Not just in CSGO, but you see this a lot in poker as well.
Bill calls.
Meltdown in 3, 2, 1.
What the?
Well
got
done.
The race with frickin' King 8.
This is the Valley of Unhappiness.
Man.
Sometimes taking a gamble and using probability to your advantage is worth the risk. Though, if it goes south, it can go really south.
Is he going to try and go huge here? Kenny S on sight, straight in his face. Doesn't hit the no-scope. Doesn't hit the pistol. Oh, Kenny S! Would you believe it?
Thanks to the users Master Chief and McRoom20 for suggesting this video idea. If you want a specific video done, let us know in the comment section below and we will get on it. We really want to start going more in depth into topics. We've covered a lot of the basics already. We are also giving away a $25 Steam gift card to the person in the comment section who leaves the best dad joke, so only people who made it to this part of the video will even know about it. So the competition's going to be limited. That's a little thank you for staying until the end of the video. I appreciate you guys so much. If you're still here, that's pretty crazy to me. Stay amazing, and I will see you in the next video.